I'll do this. Look, here's Peppy. Yes. Okay, so hopefully this looks okay. Okay, so welcome to the first official Sunday Reflections, where I go through my journal and uh, highlight the most important things that I learned in the past week and kind of my experiences, I guess. Today we have 6. I don't know if I'll continue to try to keep it at 6 or under, but we'll see. So, first things first. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I am just thinking. Okay. So, first things first. Practice being decisive. Okay. Last week, okay, maybe I'll back up some more. I have been in my hermit mode, my hermit healing mode. So honestly, for the last year, I haven't really left the house. And I think part of that too is I'm no longer drinking, I'm no longer smoking. So the things that supported me in going out and dealing with my social anxiety, I didn't have that anymore. So I've been trying to navigate my relationship with my own community and being out and about by myself. I mean, I love a solo date, but it was always easier when I was drinking, to be honest. So last week, I was like feeling an itch to be out and about, and decided to go to a concert. Okay, I went to see Washed Out at Forestry Camp here in Asheville, and it was so much fun. But let me tell you, it was such a freaking process just trying to decide whether or not I was actually going to go, because there were all these questions of like, oh, well, it'd be weird that I'm by myself. Should I be spending this money? Like, what if I see old coworkers that I don't really want to see? What if blah, blah, blah? Like, there's so many things that came up that were trying to block me from having this experience. And something that I came to the realization of is like, I want to practice listening to my intuition and making decisions quicker, because I don't want to be scared to do things. And honestly, because it took me so long to figure out whether or not I was going, I missed like the first couple of hours. So I basically only had an hour there, which it was so worth it. Like, honestly, afterwards, I journaled about the reasons why it was worth me going. And just to be able to take up space and claim, like, I am worthy of being here just as much as anybody else, even if I am by myself. Um, and now I have that memory. Now I have that memory of going to an outdoor concert, being in this cool space, like listening to good music, being with my own energy. And like, I'm so glad that I did. So, one thing is practicing being more decisive and not questioning what my intuition is trying to tell me. I think sometimes, especially if I'm feeling like called to something or feeling inspired by something, like, ooh, like if I make that kind of reaction, I feel like that means that I'm going in the right direction. So that was that. Number 2, creating clarity for myself. So I have also, within my hermit healing period, I have been in this, I guess I want to call it a liminal space, this transition from my old chapter to my new chapter. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm like in this waiting room, and so many people I've talked to feel this as well, and it can feel so unsettling. It's like, what is happening? Am I moving in the right direction? I don't even know, like, I'm not even sure what path I'm on, right? So I want to surrender. I want to surrender and just go with the flow and recognize that I don't necessarily have all the answers right now. I can't control everything, nor do I want to, really, which is something new that I'm learning for myself. But there is a way that I can create some sense of structure, stability, and clarity for myself. And for myself, that has looked like releasing unaligned situations, opportunities, or experiences. So, for example, the last couple of months, I have tried to host events, different kinds of events, virtual, online, different things, kind of just experimenting. And it hasn't been landing. It hasn't been resonating with people. People haven't been engaging or um like being it's like it's not hitting, okay? It's not clocking to y'all. And that's okay. Like I think part of that is summer too. People have been busy. They already have plans, they're traveling, and that's okay. Like, I felt like I had to hold on to that because I had committed to that. That was one of my goals for the year was hosting my own events. But if there's continual resistance or it's just not aligning right now, I want to pull my energy back and reflect on that, review it. Think of, maybe it's one type of event that I do later on, but right now this doesn't seem like that's what my priority needs to be on. Or guest episodes with the podcast. Like I've tried to have a few different guests on and it just isn't working out. And that's okay. Like I'm going to release that for now. I can come back to it if and when the time seems right. So kind of releasing that and releasing the maybe the guilt and the shame around things not working out, like it's okay. That just isn't the time. And creating some kind of flexible schedule for myself. Like, I personally don't work well when I have a rigid schedule. Like, I want to be able to know what the gist is. Like, okay, this is how I can spend my energy on these days. But what's kind of worked for me is one, knowing that I'm going to get out of the house every day of the week, like whether that's going to work out, go to yoga, and going to some kind of public space, coffee shop to get some work done, like doing deep focus at a coffee shop. So that has honestly been huge for me in creating a sense of stability and clarity for myself as I'm in this time of transition. Number three, okay, sometimes situations come up again just to show you just how far you've come. Okay, something interesting. I've been reflecting on my own dating. Oh, excuse me. Dating and relationship patterns and habits. And it's been interesting. It's been very eye opening, right? And those tend to come up when, like, this awareness tends to come up when I have a crush or something like that, which is so fun. Like, honestly, what even is life if you don't have a crush going on in the background? Like, I love love. I think is such a beautiful, expansive, honestly creative thing. Um and I know for myself there are so many lessons that I'm learning when it comes to love. So, situations coming back up. Okay, so recently this week, I have been learning how to ground myself and my own energy. Like, how can I balance having a crush, being attracted to someone, while also not losing myself in the fantasy and the idealism and projecting what I want them to be onto them, because that is a recipe for disaster. And also, this theme of like not needing to be chosen by somebody, like choosing myself first. Like, I'm not waiting for someone to tell me that I'm worthy or to give me the validation that I'm beautiful or funny or whatever it is. So, I've been learning these lessons. And then, of course, this week, something came up where I noticed someone was in town that I haven't spoken to or seen in like over a year. And it brought up some emotions, it brought up some thoughts, feelings for sure. But I was so surprised at myself, pleasantly surprised at how I did not spiral and how I kind of released, like, I don't know why they're here. I don't know how long they're here. I don't know if they're going to reach out to me. And that's okay. Like, I'm okay with not knowing and not needing to know. And if nothing happens, which I think that probably is the case, that's fine. Like, honestly, that's fine because I know that I've prayed too that, like, if someone's meant to be in my life, like, they're going to be in my life. If I need to be protected from somebody, like, I've prayed for protection that they don't bother me. You know what I mean? So, anyway, all this to say, sometimes things come up and you realize just how much you've healed and how much you've grown. And honestly, seeing that they were here, I could not help but laugh because I'm like, of course, universe, you're going to show me this precisely the same week that I am actively practicing to ground my energy. So, thank you. Thank you for validating that I'm on the right track. Number 4, speaking of dating tendencies, I have been, I don't know how it came to me, but I started to realize that there were two particular types of guys that I've gone after or uh, tended to entertain, I guess, or engage with or date or something like that. And it was pretty eye opening because in the past, like when I've tried to do some reflection work on dating, like the question is always like, what are the typical types that you gravitate towards? And for me, that was always a difficult question to answer because I didn't feel like there was necessarily one type. It seemed like everyone was kind of different. But what I have started to realize is there do tend to be two vibes. They don't necessarily look the same, but basically there's a group of guys who I feel safe with, or maybe I feel like I have the control. Maybe I feel like I'm more of the initiator, more of the leader in the dynamic, and maybe they seem more outgoing, maybe a little like funny. They're kind of like sometimes they can be a little immature, but in some ways they allow me to, or in some ways it feels like, oh, I get to kind of not be so responsible, I guess. But actually, what ends up happening is I end up becoming overly responsible because then I'm trying to be responsible for them too, even though they didn't ask for that. Like, I'm going to take ownership of both of these. Like, I'm not saying either of these groups are doing anything wrong, right? Like, this is my own stuff that I'm working through. So, okay, that was like one group, right? And it's like I didn't really feel chosen by them either. Like, I feel like I was kind of initiating. I feel like um maybe they loved me because of how I made them feel about themselves or something like that. I don't know. And then there's another group where it's like, oh, I'm intrigued by them, but I'm also a little afraid to engage with them. Like, I feel like I'm going to get um criticized, or maybe I feel like I am not going to be perfect enough for this other group of people. And it's like they were different in the sense that, maybe they were very creative, or maybe they are successful in the work that they do, or maybe um they look cool. Okay? Like I know this is just real. This is just real. And I felt like I wasn't good enough for them for some reason. And so I felt like in that dynamic, I had to overperform or make myself more available to be seen, to be chosen. And it's like these two groups are very different, but it all comes back to me either wanting to have control or to be chosen by someone. And it so relates to my different my two parents. Like, I know, and we say this in like relationships, like you gravitate towards similar dynamics that you have with your parents. And I just saw this with more clarity this week than I ever have, and I'm just like, holy shit. So anyway, all this to say, could be worth looking at your two groups of dating tendencies. It doesn't have to necessarily be a type, although that could show up too. But it's very helpful because now that I know this information, it will be less likely that I fall into these dynamics because now I see it from a more aerial view. Number 5. Oh my gosh, pay attention to your dreams. What I've been doing recently is as soon as I wake up, if I remember something from my dreams, I will write it down, and then, I'll do some my own personal reflection, but then I will chat GPT. And yeah, I will just ask for dream interpretation or symbolism behind my dream. I'll let them know. And it is so freaking insightful. It helps me understand what my subconscious is trying to tell me or what my subconscious is working through so that whenever I wake up, I can reflect on that. I can even rewrite the story if I need to. It's additional awareness. I love it. It's like anytime that I wake up and I don't have a dream, I feel a little bummed because I feel like I'm missing out on some kind of like mystical information. But let me tell you a quick little story. So this week I woke up and the word Pygmalion came to mind. Like, it came to my thought as soon as I woke up. And I'm like, Pygmalion? What the hell is Pygmalion? Like, is it a word I've heard before? Yeah, I'm sure it is, but I could not for the life of me tell you what that actually was. So I look it up. Pygmalion is a Greek myth about this dude, Pygmalion, who apparently he didn't like women. Maybe he hated women, but essentially he was a sculptor and he sculpted this woman who was perfect, beautiful. He fell in love with his statue that he created, right? And what happened? Okay, he fell in love with her, and then either Venus or Aphrodite, I can't remember which one, but she, because of his devotion and love to his statue, freak, she brought this statue to life, and then they lived happily ever after, something like that. Pygmalion also relates to this story about a man who essentially said that he could make this working class woman an empress by helping her speak correctly, whatever that means, or more elegantly, or whatever. And it's like this idea of projecting a fantasy onto a woman of perfectionism. Isn't that insane? And honestly, what's crazy about that is, um, I mean, maybe many of us have experienced that where we feel like someone is projecting a fantasy onto us of this idealized version, but that's not really the reality. And then once they see the reality, it's like the feelings are gone, or we're not good enough, quote unquote, whatever. Or it could be even our own projection of someone's potential onto them, but that's not actually the reality. So I was like, that blew my mind just because it resonates with how I'm feeling with this relationship healing I'm doing, but also just like, I didn't even know what that meant. So the fact that it related, I don't know, just crazy. So just pay attention to your dreams or whatever comes up for you because it might be significant. Okay, last but not least, number 6. If you want to find your power, look at the ugly truth. Mm. So, one thing about me, I I will look at an ugly truth. I really will, because I know that's what sets us free. Even though it sucks, it's like the only way through. So like, yeah, whether it's with crushes, dating, finances, which that's coming up, it's like, what is the reality of the situation? Like, how can I be more real with myself and just look at it? Look at the ugly truths that are coming up. Like, it doesn't have to mean I'm a bad person or I'm not worthy or I'm a failure. I'm literally looking at this so that I can take my power back and not have my head in the sand and pretend like nothing's wrong. Like, no, let me look at this shit and empower myself to now be able to take more aligned and intentional action steps from this place. Because once you know the reality, it's like, baby, it's only up from here. Like, that is the beauty about being able to see the truth, even though sometimes we don't want to see it, and that's valid too. Sometimes we have to wait until we're ready to see it, but are we really ever ready? Sometimes what happens is we avoid something that we know is a truth because we can't see that valid, and the universe or reality will do whatever it needs to do so that you see the truth. And sometimes it does it in a way that isn't ideal, right? But once we can look at the ugly truth, we find our power. So, like, for example, finances is something that's really on my mind lately. And similar to the dating thing, is like, I'm not I'm not going to let that make me spiral. Like, I'm going to stay grounded in myself and my truth. Being stressed out is not going to help me. It's not going to help me. So, what can I do? Something I did yesterday, I cleaned up my space. One, because of this energy of like, I'm going to have gratitude for the abundance that's already around me. I am going to take love and care to the things that I already have. And then, two, while I was doing that, I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to her first 100K podcast, and she had on, I forget her last name, but her name's Daisha. Um, I think her website and Instagram is Broke Black Girl, but it was so insightful and honestly very inspiring. So I'm like, okay, because I looked at the reality of my situation, now I am educating myself. Now I am figuring out how to get my own energy right. Now I am going to brainstorm ideas and things that I can do to better support myself through this. Like, if I continued to avoid the truth, I would just be doing the same shit. So, anyway, that's where our power is, the ugly truth. And again, it does not mean that you are a failure or you're unworthy. No. It means that you're smart, that you're willing to look at the truth. Period. So those are the Sunday reflections, babe. Those are the Sunday reflections. I hope that you got something useful out of this. Like, part of this is like me just practicing showing up, sharing my voice. Like, sometimes I feel like I shouldn't share because people don't care. People don't care what I have to say. Um, does it even matter? And it's like, it does matter. It does matter. Even if nobody watches this, it matters that I believe in myself enough to show up and that I care enough about what I have to say to show up. And it's like, this is the type of things that I want other people to realize. So if I want other people to feel that way, then I have got to create that safety to show up in that way for myself too. So we out here. All right. With that, have an amazing week and maybe we'll see you next week. We'll see. Bye.